Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Spaced Out Radio Tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate broadcasting to you is my good friend Lee Strauss from Washington State. He is here. He's filmed UFOs. He's filmed in the areas of Bigfoot. We're going to get into filming the unknown tonight. You guys are going to really enjoy this as we are ready for a good night. We also have in hour 3 Travis William Moostus coming in for the Crypted report. The best part about it all, we have all of you here, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Ann B with the silver, Laura Lobbs taking home the bronze tonight, and who else we got here? Well, let's take a little peeky poo, shall we? We got Chris 716, Michael Morris, the lovely and talented Kira, Dino Bravo, James Horn is here. James Horn will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Roy Boy, Laura Lobbs, and Jimmy Gonzalez, nice to see you. High Road Flare, Lee the Bee, Dragonfly, Eternity Eternal, and Les Paul Holland strumming away down in Australia. Hi, Jennifer Patterson and Dutch Hank. Jessica Davenport, how are you? Tim Mothman and his goatee, 2 separate entities. And who else is here? Roger Murray, how you doing, my man? And continuing on with our roll call here, there's Jennifer Patterson. There is Lightwalkers. Thank you for joining us. As we scroll on down, Brown Dwarf, how you doing, my man? T-Bone, what is happening? Glad to see you here. Lars Janssen, he's wearing Peter Forsberg's old number 21, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, Paramarv, nice to see you. As we continue on with our roll call, Flat 6, thank you for coming on in. Human Carl is here, not to be misconstrued with Alien Carl. Human Carl's a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, my man. We very much appreciate it. Purple-haired Pixie Lara, nice to see you. As we are rolling on down, Body Tech, good morning to you in the UK. Thank you for joining us. Rolling on down, we have, who's next? Well, let's see here. Scrolling on down. You guys are having a good conversation up there. Stargazer, Lori Murdy, welcome to SOR chat from the beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yes, she is a Penguins fan. That's right. She has one room in her house dedicated to Sidney Crosby. It's true. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi, Thomas Rock. How you doing? And who else? Paul Demon. Marty Burback has returned. Marty will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. This one's for you. We're going to have a great show tonight. Hi, Operation Shutdown. How are you? And who else is joining us? Forrest Louie. How you doing, man? Rayfin, good to see you. W. David Page. And who's on Facebook right now? Let's take a quick peek here. Hold on. Let's take a quick peek. And who do we have here? We have Susan Lawrence, Sparkles, Jackie Harmon, and Ludabelle. Nice to see you all. And who else is here? Well, let's see here. Scrolling on down. Oh, let's start the radio side. Welcome to the radio side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Lee Strauss is our guest. Filming the unknown is the topic du jour, as we're in for a good time tonight. We're on roll call right now. Mark Eddy, thanks to see you, or nice to see you. Brad Ford, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Rono. And there's Bill WD40 currently lubing up the Spreaker chat room, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You never want rigidness, you want to go in smooth, and that's what he's doing. Thanks for the lube there, Bill WD40. We very much appreciate it. Scrolling on down, Algaray on Twitch. Nice to have you here. And Susan Alloway, thanks for joining us. Killing Reality, what's happening, my man? And who else is next on our roll call? Well, let's check it on out, shall we? We got to scroll on down. Bobbert is here. Hey, Bobbert, what's going on? And Asteroid, thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, Nina Williams. Julia Fox, good morning and welcome to SOR Chat. We love the fellow Commonwealthers here. And who else is here? Sweet Donna C. Thank you for joining us. Scrolling on down. And we got there. Destiny Rocks, thank you for joining us. That's it. That's all. Throw those horns up. Super Chat is open. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. You'll do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have a fun show tonight. What is it like filming oddities in the forest, in the sky? Lee Strauss is here. He's from Seattle, Washington, the Emerald City. Even though he's a Kraken fan, we're going to let that go for tonight. We're just going to let that go. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing has another missing person story, followed up by Travis Willier-Mustus with the Cryptid Report. All right, we're going to get right into this here. I've known Lee Strauss for about 6-7 years now. This is a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy trying to figure out what is going on in this strange universe that we have going. He's a very talented filmmaker and photographer out of Seattle, Washington. Now, Lee has been a part of a number of different investigative teams, but he loves trying to figure out these mysteries. What these mysteries are, we don't really know. Lee has seen sightings that have lasted over 15 minutes. He's been driven to deep dive into the understanding of the text behind the camera equipment he's using to capture better video and clearer images of these creatures, whether he's searching for aliens, UFOs, or Bigfoot. And he's one of the founding members of the former UFOiTEAM. Let's bring him on, get the rest of the story right there, because I don't want to waste any more time on a bio when we could just talk to the guy. Let's get to it. Lee Strauss, this has been way too long in the making. How you been doing?
It has been, Dave. I've been on a couple times for a very short period, like 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour when I was with UFOiTEAM. But I'm so happy to be here today. I mean, I've been watching you for years now, and I finally get my own show with you. It's fantastic.
You know what? This is one of those, I'm going to call it idiocies of what I do in the business, because you see everybody in social media, you interact with them, and then all of a sudden it clues in like, Lee hasn't been on this show in a long time. We've never interviewed him face to face, one on one.
Right.
Why not, Dave? Why not? And this is what's going through my head, right? So, like, Lee, you got to come on the show, man. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad
Exactly.
I'm glad we're here. You are so talented when it comes to camera work. And, one of the images I remember you showing me and telling me about was the images you caught of UFOs on Mount Baker
Yeah.
in Washington State.
Yeah. Not just Mount Baker. I know you can see Mount Baker from your place, if I'm not mistaken. That's what
Used
I've
to be able
heard.
to. Used to
Yeah.
be able.
Okay. But also Mount Adams. These two mountains, for some reason in Washington State, it's just they're hotbeds for activity. And those are the places that I go to film.
I got to tell you a quick story here. When
Mhm.
I lived in Mission, British Columbia, which I could literally from my patio see Washington State 10 miles away. And I could actually watch the fight because it was on Mission's on a mountain
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
I could literally see the fireworks on the 4th of July from my patio. That's how awesome it was. But I also had the $1 million view of Mount
Ah.
Baker. And one night we were there and we were watching, and it was maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. And we were literally watching. It was a summer night. We were watching the UFOs on top of Baker
Yeah.
and the lights going off on from the flat part on top of the volcano to there's a couple of sharp peaks that are
Yep.
on there. They had one on each peak. And then
Mhm.
the culmination of it all was when you live in that area, you learn the flight pattern of the
Mhm.
jets coming to and from Vancouver International Airport. So if they were going into land at Vancouver International, they would fly behind our house. If they were taking off, they would fly in front. But all
Yeah.
of a sudden, we saw this one craft, and it came from northeast, southwest, heading into the US, and
Mhm.
it had a giant contrail behind it. Okay, it was a silver object and not a sound in the sky.
That's
And
right.
then,
That's typical.
yeah, and it's amazing. But the other thing about that area too, and I don't know if you've caught this close to the border, in the Sumas area, the Bellingham area, of
Mhm.
whether or not, because I know the lower mainland area of Abbotsford, these places, Abbotsford,
Yep.
Aldergrove, Langley, those border towns and
Mhm.
cities, they are a hotbed for black triangles.
Yeah, I've never seen a black triangle per se. I have seen a triangle-shaped craft, that came up on my infrared camera, but I've never seen a black triangle. I've seen plenty of other stuff, especially the silver discs, silver orbs, that sort of thing, for sure.
You've been doing this a long time now. Why do you do it? What's in it for you?
Well, as a kid, my grandfather showed me slides. He was an engineer for Boeing, and he was in the Washington, D.C. area taking, just visiting, but he took a lot of photos. And he happened to capture some things that were pretty incredible at the time. And as a young child, I remember watching and seeing those slides. And I'm like, that's just amazing. He said, do not tell anybody. He said, do not say anything to anybody. Of course, I went to the neighbor's house and told my friend at the time, you got to come over and look at these photos, and I got in big trouble for it. But that sparked my interest for all of this stuff. My parents had encounters with craft, and my grandfather as well told stories about it. So I mean, that really sparked my interest, and it kind of follows in the family line, it seems to. So maybe that's why I'm so lucky to be able to capture so much stuff on film.
What do you do with your film?
Really, I just rat hole it away, which is kind of a shame. I do post a lot of stuff on Ander and Lee on the trail, as well as my own Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. From time to time, I do send it out to, like your Facebook page as well, just to get to garner some interest. My whole thought around this, Dave, is that people have been saying that people like myself, or people that see these things are crazy, you know, and there's such a stigma behind it. And I want to squash that because it seems like that's my life mission. I need to squash the stigma. There's you can go out there and you can film these things. Anybody can go out there to these places like Baker and Adams and film this stuff. It's not just me doing it, you know. It should be everybody doing it just to help squash the stigma around this stuff. It really it puts a bad taste in my mouth, and you know, a lot of people suffer because of it, you know, lose their jobs if they talk about it, which, you know, has almost happened to me. So, yeah, it's disheartening, but now I need to prove what I know.
You have to prove what you know, but we don't know what these things are, where they're coming from. We can assume outer space. We can assume that they are, aliens from another planet, but the reality is we have no clue of what they are. What do you think it is you're filming?
I do believe it's craft from somewhere else. We don't have that technology. Not only do we not have that technology, Dave, but they seem to, in some ways, answer questions that you might have or perform in a certain manner that make you think that somehow they're inside your head. As crazy as that may seem, I mean, there's so many instances where, like, I'll ask them to flash, Dave, and they flash, or I've asked them to change color, you know, and it's caught on film, me asking this and that happening. Not only that, they seem to have a sense of humor too. So, you know, what we might think is hocus pocus, you know, or magical, the things that they're able to do, to them, it's technology. And obviously they're thousands upon thousands of years, you know, more advanced than we are.
You have been doing this for a number of years, and you've seen a lot of things that probably a lot of people shouldn't have, because they're not supposed to exist.
Right.
Yet here you are having that conversation with a lot of people on a daily basis. Do you ever get the people looking at you kind of cockeyed saying, the hell are you talking about? It's a bird, or it's a 747, or it's a satellite, or it's Jupiter.
Yeah, I mean, we do get that, and I believe you me, that happens a lot on Facebook or any other social media where I post. People like to say that sort of stuff, and you know, unless you're there witnessing it, you know, and actually filming it, you know, it's just again and again and again. It's they just seem to respond. You know, and a star is not going to respond to you. A bug isn't going to respond to you. A bird isn't going to respond to you. And so it could only be something from somewhere else. You know, that's what we're getting down to here.
Have Out of all the things you've filmed, what's that one piece of film that you've captured that still to this day jaw drops you?
Well, let me get into one that's pretty crazy. Dave Mason, if you've heard of him. We were
Good guy.
filming.
Good guy.
Yeah, good dude. We were filming with Dave Mason one time at Baker Lake, which is south, you know, south of you, south of the border, just south of Mount Baker. It's a big lake, but we were all set up in a line. There was Dave on my left and myself, and we were pointed our cameras up towards Mount Baker, and all of a sudden his batteries, 2-car batteries, go dead, and there's this whining noise, like an alarm that he has, you know, if once his batteries get super low, and that alarm goes off, and we're like, well, what the heck, you know, and we're looking around, and I noticed on my camera that my camera power went down to 50% at that time. And then 2 seconds later in the film, you can see this light come across the screen just above Baker, flash right as it gets into my camera view, goes all the way across the screen, and before it goes out of the camera view, flashes again. So it's like it knew where the parameter was of my camera, like it flashed, you know, right as it came into screen and right before it went out of my screen. And then as soon as it did that, his power came back on. My power went back up to 100% as well. And that's all caught on film. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, to think that they're somehow able to understand where the parameters of my camera are.
Why do you think they're attracted to you? Why do you think they're showing themselves to you, or you're having an easy time seeing them?
I think really, Dave, it has to do with my family and the fact that they've have had experiences for a long time. Like I said, I think it follows family lines in a way. And I've just been lucky enough, just a regular guy, have a job in construction and have had for the last 30 years. There's nothing special about me. I didn't write a book, or I don't have a degree. But it just, maybe it's just because I'm an everyman type of guy, and the fact that we've had these experiences in the family.
You look at yourself. I mean, you act as if this is normal. You act as if this is just everyday life. Is that what it's been for you?
I would say for the last about 10 years, 11 years. Yeah. Yeah. It has been pretty regular. I guess when I go out, I would expect to have about an 80% success rate of capturing something on film that I cannot explain, or that you might consider to be a UFO.
And out of those, how many close encounters have you had?
Nothing that's been filmed. I've had some experiences, Dave, but I really don't want to go into that deep stuff at this time.
No, and that's not a problem.
Mhm.
But while you were filming, or while you've been out in the forest, you ever find that they at times catch you right off guard, where you don't even know that it's happening? You're like, "Where's my camera?" And like, it always seems to be those fleeting moments, doesn't it?
It does. That's the case, Dave. How this manifested. Let's just start there. Um, so I never turned my cameras on until I saw something. That's how it used to be. And I would start getting this really weird vibration. My hands would start like buzzing, and then like I'd sweat. My hands would sweat, and I'd start getting real nervous, pacing. And that was kind of my clue. I'd call that like getting the heebie-jeebies, and I knew something was going to happen. And so then I would turn my cameras on at that time and then capture something. Now I don't do that anymore. What I do is I just set up my gear and I leave everything running. Um, from time
So
to
you've
time,
had,
though.
so you've
Yeah,
had
go
to learn the hard way.
ahead. Yeah, I've had to learn the hard way, but whenever I got that feeling before, I would capture things. But now it's like just leave things running, leave it go, and then go through hundreds of hours of footage, on my numerous cameras. But yeah, that's the way it manifested in the beginning, and now it doesn't do that. I don't have that same uh, knowing that something's going to happen anymore, because the cameras are always on. I could only imagine.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I had this in 2022 in one of our Sasquatch areas up here. I had this encounter with a UFO where my friends and I were watching around. We knew there was a weird feeling. I kind of turned back towards my vehicle, turned my head forward, and in the same sky that I'm looking at, all of a sudden there's two lights that appear, and then the third one appears to make the triangle. And the second I went to take my phone out of my pocket to film it, the two bottom lights blinked out and the other third one faded away. And I was like, "You sons of guns. You knew this was going to happen. You're doing this on purpose." And I was just feeling myself laughing. I think I even threw up the middle finger at them, because to them it's a joke. And I agree with you. And this
Mhm.
is the point that I love about what you've said so far. I agree with you that they know. They know when somebody is looking at them. They know who they're going to point their lights at. They know. And it's a game to them.
It is totally. I think they have a unique sense of humor. It's kind of dry sometimes, but what's funny is, so at Baker, there's a river called Boulder Creek. Okay. And I'll sit there on the bridge. I sat there on the bridge one time and I took 3 pictures just of the mountain up the valley. The center one they show up in, there's a UFO in the center picture. At either end, nothing. And it's just 3 pictures. I mean, they do this sort of thing, and they've done it before on my thermal camera, where I was filming Mount Shuxon with my thermal camera. Nothing on the film. But then I go back and I look at the pictures on my phone because I just happened to take my phone out and take a picture of my screen on the thermal camera, and there's a UFO right in that picture. I was like, are you kidding me, you guys? I mean, it doesn't, in all logic, it doesn't make sense. But they obviously are intelligent enough to know that you're taking a picture.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. It's weird how they show themselves to certain people at certain times. I mean, it's almost like you're summoning them. And that's a real argumentative point in the UFO community as to whether or not people can or have. I personally believe, from my own experiences, you damn well can summon a UFO. Totally can. If you're on the same page with them, you could totally summon a UFO. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I've done the whole CE5 thing before. But it's like I said, it's 80% success rate right now. I mean, is what I'm getting. Can I summon? I've never really sat there and tried, other than when I did the CE5. And yeah, there was something that showed up at that time, and I got a couple of photos, but it wasn't something stagnant in the air. I had set my camera up to take some time lapse of the night sky at that point. So and we did get something. Yeah.
But you have said that you have had these craft likely communicate with you by
Yes.
changing their light colors, by changing their trajectory, maybe their size. Wouldn't that be like summoning too?
I guess. I mean, you're asking them to perform something or do something, and they're doing it. So I guess in a way it would be considered summoning, or just, yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
we got 90 seconds to go here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Lee Strauss, UFO and cryptid investigator, is here with us tonight from Washington State. I want to ask you, because in the next half hour, we're gonna talk a little bit about cryptids. We're not done with UFOs yet. We got a lot more UFOs to talk about. But I want to just ask from cryptids. You filmed UFOs. You've been in areas where you filmed cryptid areas. What do you prefer?
Oh, I prefer UFOs. Definitely. I don't know as much about Sasquatch, even though I've had some really interesting encounters with what I would call Sasquatch. Definitely the UFOs. That's where most of my gear is, that's where I have most of my concentration of gear is that field. So that, and because, Dave, when I was younger, I had all this stuff going on in my family. So that's what I prefer.
Well, hey, you found your love, you found your passion. And I guess in the end, that's really what it's all about, is finding that love and passion that drives you to it. I mean, some people are out chasing ghosts, some are chasing cryptids, some are chasing UFOs, and some are just boring. They're just boring. No, I'm teasing. But I love what you do. I love the fact that you know what you're going for. You know what you're trying to capture. You've got your hotspots. You've figured out where you need to be. And I think that plays out to great investigation. It really does. Lee, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Cryptid and UFO investigator Lee Strauss is here tonight from Washington State. Filming the unknown is what we're talking about. And we're going to get into a little cryptid talk before we get into more UFOs with Lee right after this. Stay tuned. We continue next. All right, my man, we are clear.
Okay.
All right, a quick shout out to Deer Slayer. How you doing? Kathy Evans, thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Carla. And Susan F., thank you for that lovely super chat. Very much appreciated. And T-Bone, thanks for kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support, guys. It's a great way to support what we do. And who else has showed up here? Okay, we're good there. And yeah, I like Jackie's comment on Facebook. Not boring. Not boring. Thanks, Jackie. She'll be our guest on Friday night. Yeah. She's like, I will only do Friday nights from 9:06 to 10:59. That is it. That is it. Don't ask for more. Don't ask for a minute more. No, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
So your areas, you're mainly going up towards Baker, or are you going into the Seattle area as well?
No, I try to stay out of Seattle as much as possible, Dave. The traffic, man. The traffic's horrible. But I do have to drive through to get to Baker from where I live, which is I live south of Seattle, actually. So it's either go to Baker or it's go to Adams. Most of my friends, my partner Ander, he lives up north in Marysville, so it's easier for us to just go to Baker most of the time.
Awesome. I love Baker. I loved Baker is so beautiful, and I loved everything about Baker when I lived on down in the Lower Mainland, and the view of it, waking up to Baker every morning on a sunny day. There's nothing more beautiful. Baker is for people who don't know, Mount Baker is literally the perfect volcano. It really is. It's the perfect volcano where it all comes up, and then you got the flat top, and it's just perfect shape. It's not like St. Helens or Adams or any of the other ones that look ugly. It's like a mini version of what's the one in California? It's got the Lemire. Shasta. Like Shasta's big.
Yeah.
Like Baker's like a mini version of Shasta.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get into talking about some of the gear that I use too.
Oh yeah.
That'll be
good.
We'll
geek out. Don't worry, we'll geek up here. Yeah, I've been trying to get Dave Mason on the show. He's like, Dave, I so want to come on your show, but he was under contract with Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Hi, the Ferret. How you doing? I live the Ferret. I lived up island in Nanaimo and Parksville, and you could still see Mount Baker from there. It was amazing. Certain angles, you had to get over the city, but yeah, it was nice. We got about 2 minutes here.
Yeah. Dave, I missed your 101, man.
Oh, on which one?
Oh, you haven't done a 101 in quite a while.
We have, but we've stopped cutting them because we were doubling up. So every Thursday night, the Thursday night show is the Dave 101.
Well, then I've got to go back through some stuff.
Oh, you got a lot to catch up on then.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my Ferrari hoodie. Deidre. It's about as close to owning a Ferrari as I will get. Not because I'm being self-deprecating, but because right now getting into small cars at my age hurts my back. I've officially graduated to SUV and up. Oh, but I would own them. I'm not. Thank you, Carla. Very much appreciate that love of the super chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll throw you a big kiss for that one. Mwah! Thank you. Feisty Kitty, what's happening? Yeah, Kira, I continue to manifest the Lamborghini with the suicide doors going up. Yeah. Manifesting, not manifesting the Ferrari anymore. It's all about the Lamborghini. They seem bigger. Ian McFadden, good morning to you. And want to remind everybody that not only is a super chat open, but our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. In fact, it never closes. Best part about our store, we do not have ugly swag, people. You can actually wear our clothing in public and be proud of it. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. I very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. You can check out our swag as well. We're on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We got Lee Strauss, UFO and cryptid researcher from beautiful Washington State. We're talking about filming the unknown. Now, Lee, thank you for joining us. Very much appreciate it. Let's go into the forests of Washington State because, much like British Columbia, we're in that natural rainforest area that the trees are thick, they're big, and they have their own secrets.
That's for sure. They do.
What have you found in the forest?
Well, I've had a couple experiences as far as with Bigfoot is concerned. I'll talk about one incident where Ander, my paranormal partner in crime, we were up at a place called the Foss River. And we were hiking up the Foss River, which goes up to a place called Necklace Lakes if you keep going up there. And at the end of this, before it starts heading up vertical, we both felt like we needed to lay down and take a nap, like just this intense feeling, like we had to take a nap for some reason. And we were filming all of this at the time, with GoPros because we were on the trail. And he checked his watch, because we had it timed with the GoPros. Everything was synced. And that there was now a time difference between his watch and the GoPros. My GoPro actually failed, just went dead. And then after that, so did his. It was just a really odd thing that happened in that area. And I wonder if infrasound didn't have something to do with what happened to us in that area.
So take us through that day. What type of area were you in? What was it all about? What were you there looking for Sasquatch?
Yes, actually we were. We wanted to film the trail, and then there had been previous for me, I've had some encounters on that trail. And so that's why we went back there, is because of the things that had happened. So we crossed this log bridge. And then it was like we got hit by a wall and we were just like super tired. All of a sudden, it didn't make any sense. We had only hiked probably about 3.5 miles in, which isn't a lot for us. Back in that day. But it was just unsettling. And then of course my GoPro started acting up, and then his did, and then there wasn't, things weren't lining up. So we could only assume at that time that maybe it was infrasound or some kind of electromagnetic anomaly of some sort that was in that area.
How close do you think it was from you?
Well, it affected us that way. It couldn't have been far. You know, the infrasound, if you're talking about infrasound can travel a long way. It can travel through solid objects. Its wavelength is just, it'll travel for miles and miles. But if there was a Sasquatch nearby, maybe a couple hundred yards, possibly. I will tell you the reason why we went back there, like I said, is because there was some incidences that had happened. And for me, I had an incident on that same trail on the railroad grade when I was almost back to the car. I was probably a mile back, to get back to the car from where I was. And I had these rocks, Dave, like this, thrown down onto the railroad grade in front of me early in the morning when I was hiking out. And there was probably 6 of these rocks. Some of them hit the trees. And Dave, they weren't sharp rocks like from an avalanche. Dave, these were smooth rocks, like, and they were the size of like basketballs, smacking into the tree, smacking down on the railroad grade in front of me, and then rolling off. Now, if whatever this was could have taken me out with one of these rocks, no problem whatsoever. And so when that happened, the first thing I thought of was to yell up the hill and yell, "Hey, stop throwing rocks." As soon as I yelled up the hill, it stopped. And I got to thinking about 100 yards later, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, Dave. There's just no way. That doesn't make sense. It had to have been something that was extremely strong throwing these rocks down. There's no human could throw rocks like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was an incident up here about, I think, 2018, 2019 at one of the logging camps up here where they were out uh in the forest by this lake, and they were cutting some old growth. And I guess the Sasquatch there really didn't like it. And so they would come to work the following day, with logging crews. They'd leave their gear up there. Nobody's
Yeah.
going into the forest, deep into the forest to go steal, forestry equipment. But
Right.
when they came back the following couple days, and this happened successively, they were coming back to like 400-pound boulders stacked up against their machines, and dents in their machines from these boulders, and footprints all over the place. Literally over half the crew abandoned that job
Yeah.
because they were so scared. And I talked to one
Mhm.
of the truck drivers who was hauling logs out of there, and he's like, dude, we don't even know how long it's going to take us to finish this job because we can't get guys to work there because of this. I
Right.
mean, that is powerful. When they're throwing 50, I mean, to them, if you got a 10-foot Sasquatch that's 400, 500 pounds plus, throwing a 75-pound rock would be like you or me throwing a baseball.
Right. Exactly. And that's what it seemed like when those rocks are smacking into a tree. I mean, literally tearing the bark, Dave, off a tree with this big rock that just smacked it. It just didn't make sense to me at all. There's only one thing that could do that. Bipedal, 5 fingers, disposable thumb. I mean, that's the kind of thing we're talking about here. And so that was kind of a wake up call for me that things are going on up in that area of Skykomish and the Foss River.
Do you think if it wanted to hit you with those rocks, it could have?
Oh yeah, I think if it wanted to kill me, it could have easily done it. And I think it was just warning me off because down below was like this marshy wetland area. And I know from what I understand, more or less, is they like to eat tubers, so they'll pull plants up and eat the tuber on the bottom of the plant. And I think they were just trying to get me out of there so that they could cross the trail and then go down into that river or into that marshy area.
And getting you out of the way was the way to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. They wanted me out of there in a hurry. Yeah,
Man, I couldn't imagine. I've only in one of our areas up here, I've only ever had one rock thrown at me, and it was like a little pebble, just a little pebble. We didn't see it, but we heard it because we were walking around, my buddy and I, we were kind of like, man, can't believe how quiet, literally he said, can't believe how quiet this area has been for us recently. And all of a sudden, ping,
Mhm,
off the
mhm.
rocks on the logging road. And we're like, you got to be kidding me. Like, where are you? Give us another
Right,
sign. No, they don't do that. They play the game too.
right,
They play the
right.
game too. You don't get that second rock tossed at you.
Well,
Certain
I did.
situation.
Yeah. That's not as far as the Bigfoot stuff, and that's the only time we filmed up there twice, in that area twice. But I've had other experiences with Bigfoot. One was on the Olympic Peninsula, actually. Um, on a hike with my ex-wife, we had an issue with possible Bigfoot in the brush. We were at Ozette Lake. We were hiking out to Cape of Lava, and then we were gonna hike. Well, we had to hike back inland on a logging road, and off in this logging road, there's all this brush and trees and whatnot and saplings, and then there was a clear cut, you know, and we were walking through here, and all of a sudden the trees, the brush, the small saplings and the brush were just shaking, and you heard this guttural grunting, and you could feel so guttural that you could feel it in your chest, and you knew whatever this thing was big, and it was sitting there shaking these saplings, almost ripping them out of the ground as it's trying to scare us off. And then I went for my gun, and I pulled my gun, and as soon as I pulled my gun out, it just stopped immediately. So they know what guns are for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Do you think the Sasquatch are much like I don't know if it's up here. I just took a hunting course up here
Mm-hmm.
because I've never been a hunter and take this hunting course. And one of the things over the decades that wild animals, like predatory animals, grizzly bears, black bears, mountain lions, have learned, and wolves as well, is that when they hear gunshots, they're not running away from the noise anymore. They are actually running to it because they know there's a wounded animal there or a dead animal there that they can potentially steal and feed off of. Do you think
Yeah.
Sasquatch is doing the same thing, or do you think Sasquatch maybe has this innate ability to maybe recognize a gun or the smell of gunpowder because we don't know how powerful its nose is, and said, "Yeah, that ain't for me. I'm out of here."
I think for the most part, yes. I have heard stories though of, where you've had some people up, doing target practice and whatnot, and then hours later, people have seen Sasquatch walk by. So um, I think they're savvy enough um, to know when things have kind of calmed down. Maybe it's okay to go through. But yeah, I do think they try to steer clear of humans with guns.
Well, I think so too, and I think you're right on that one. But I mean, it's amazing how when you're in the area of these creatures, how small you feel in the forest. And you're a pretty in shape guy, okay? I
Mhm.
see your mirror poses, with your your pecs and your deltoids and everything like that. You know, showing off your 18-inch biceps on, I'm just teasing here a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you are a pretty healthy guy and you're in shape. I mean, outside of, a lot of humans, you don't have a lot of worries, yet here you are in the forest and it's amazing how small you can feel.
Yeah, the strongest man in the world doesn't have a chance against a Bigfoot. I mean, there was a picture, Dave, going around on Facebook where there was an elk with its head twisted like a corkscrew, where its neck was twisted like a corkscrew. Anything that can do that to that powerful of an animal, no human has a chance against something like that. You know, yeah, you feel small. It's scary, actually. when I go out and look for Bigfoot, I have fear. I definitely do, but I also have interest in Bigfoot, and I have an interest in infrasound as far as that is concerned. A huge interest in infrasound with Sasquatch. That's where I'm concentrating a lot of my attention right now.
Now, describe what you mean to our audience about infrasound. Lee?
Describe what?
Describe what you mean about infrasound.
Okay, so lions will, use infrasound to stun their prey for a short time to gain control of their prey. And if Sasquatch uses infrasound in different ways, there was one time in particular, Dave, where Ander and I, my partner, were out at Mount Adams, and we were walking around Takalok Lake, and in the middle of the night, right? Just without cameras at this time or any of that type of equipment. And we got to the point where we could not move any further. We could not walk any further because we were so in fear, Dave, just so in fear that we couldn't move forward anymore. It was complete terror, and it was coming out of nowhere. I mean, there was nothing to give us a sign. There was no noises that we could hear, no brush cracking, no footsteps. We didn't even smell anything, but we were just frozen in fear. And I've never felt that before. So I think that had to do with infrasound. We felt really odd afterwards, but after we were able to get out of there. But infrasound is definitely something we're looking into right now. I've got an incredible parabolic mic, and I've got some other stuff to analyze the sound. This parabolic mic will record audio that we cannot hear down to 3 hertz. So we are actively looking for to capture some of that.
A lot of people will. You're a techie guy, so I want to ask you this. A lot of people believe, and I'm kind of on this path as well, that a creature like Sasquatch, the reason why we haven't got another Patterson Gimlin type film is because these creatures are always on the move. And, not everybody is a bad photographer. Not everybody can, especially with phones today, the
Right.
improvements in the camera, because usually 99 times out of 10, people only have their cell phone with them. They're not carrying camera gear like you have. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is a lot of times people will head on out into the forest. They see something, they bring their camera up, and yet it's always blurry. It's always a blob squatch that could be a bear, could be your mother-in-law who hasn't shaved her legs in a while. Okay. It could be a man in a monkey suit, whatever it may be. You can't tell. And then they zoom in to pixelate it to make it even worse. That's our typical Sasquatch picture. But why do you think that all of these pictures or video are coming out blurry?
Could it be because these cameras are digital, and back in the day, when the Patterson Gimlin film was taken, it was not a digital camera? Could they possibly emit a frequency that disrupts electronics? I mean, we've had batteries drop dead out in the boonies for no reason, no apparent reason whatsoever. So are they affecting in some sort of way with the infrasound, our tech? It could be, it kind of looks like people are grabbing something to point, I mean, to them, that could look like a gun, maybe, or something. And so they're just, their natural reaction is to then, make this noise that we can't hear to affect our equipment.
I don't know. You're the tech guy. This is where I'm looking for your
Well,
expertise.
you know,
I'm the
so
woo
that's
guy, man. I'm the woo guy. You're the tech guy.
that's my question at that moment in time. Is that what they're doing? Well, now, with the tech that we have, we can find out, is this something they're producing, this noise that they're producing that affects equipment? Well, we know that batteries die, like I already said, but we need to capture that audio and we need to analyze that audio. um, there's another piece of technology that I think that might work really well with this, Dave, and that is, we have some portable EEGs. I bought 2 of them, and basically what those do, you wear them, right? And so whatever's going on in your head, the different magnetic waves that are going on in your head, you'll be able to record them, like the beta, the alpha, the theta, and the delta waves, right? And they all have their different varying frequencies, and then also the strengths of those frequencies. Depending on what's going on in your environment, you're going to react. Your mind's going to react. So if we have enough of that data to go by, we might learn something with that as well.
What do you think the benefit of filming these are? I mean, we see, whether it's cryptids or whether it's UFOs, we see these, we see ourselves getting all of these videos that are out there, and we see ourselves, trying to figure out what they are. And hopefully, the government shows us something similar, yet we never seem to have any of the answers that kind of go along with that. So I'm curious for you, what is it you think you're filming? Is there any similarity between filming a cryptid area compared to a UFO area?
Okay, so obviously cameras are cameras, right? I mean, you've got a large range of them, and all they do, Dave, is they just really capture the environment in a visual way, right? um, we need to do better than that. If we really want the data, we need to do better than that, and we need to bring other pieces of equipment into play. So typically, Dave, when we get to a spot, we'll bring out a tri-field meter. We can bring out, like a Geiger counter, which we have too. We can surveil the area. And then if we do capture something, on film, then we can go back to that tool and see if anything has been affected in the area. Whether it be, Sasquatch, UFO, or who knows what else, right? You can never have too much data. It's hard to sift through when there's a lot of it like that, but it's a starting point. We need to establish a background, right? And then we need to move forward from there and understand, of hopefully eventually, where the odd spots are, and with that data, and see if we can reproduce it in some way again. This is,
How do you reproduce something that's unreproducible, though? We got about a minute to go.
So it's not just, we might not be able to produce it ourselves, but if we can go into another area where the same type of activity is happening, and we can have the same kind of outcome and get the same kind of data that we have before, that tells us something. Reproducible data in a similar type situation.
Well, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. I just don't know where those locations are. Do you have locations where you can reproduce?
Well, yeah, we have, especially with things like, obviously footage that we film, but also with same areas where we've had batteries that just die for no apparent reason. We've had those spots that it continues to happen in certain locations. Yes.
Yes, the hot spots is what we're all after. They are out there. You got to find them. It's like, where's Waldo? Sometimes you don't find them. Sometimes you do. The hotspots for UFOs and cryptids are just like that. Lee Strauss continues with us in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio, coming up right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear. Lee, I'm going to put you in the green room here. I forgot to grab a drink of water, so I'm going to quickly run grab a drink here, and I will be right back, okay?
Sure.
All right, going to knock you out. There we are. Well, not literally, but yeah, we'll be right back. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. And we're going to bring Lee back in here. Super Lee, how you doing? Mr. B and friends, welcome. And let's see who else has joined us here. Good morning, Castle Dude. And don't forget, our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag. Thank you to T-Bone ×2, Susan and Carla for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciated. And here we go, in like 3 seconds.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. How y'all doing out there? We really appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. You can join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hamulate. Hamulate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. UFO and cryptid researcher Lee Strauss is here as we're talking about his hunt for monsters and extraterrestrials in the state of Washington. Lee, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dave.
We're having a lot of fun tonight, man.
Yeah, definitely. So we were just talking about like hotspots where you can find this activity that goes on, as far as your, obviously being able to capture something on video, but also where, batteries are draining out. And there's one spot in particular, Dave, that's not too far away from you, just on our side of the border at Baker. We call it the electric parking lot. And for some reason, whenever we go there to film at night, stuff always happens. It's like the Bermuda Triangle, it's just one of those places where the odd stuff continues to happen time and time again. If you were driving up to the Mount Baker ski area, right as soon as you get across the river, it's like a big parking lot, except it's all gravel. There's a cell tower there. That might be part of the reason why some of this stuff happens in that location. But yeah, Dave, there's always activity. We always capture stuff in the sky flying around. And batteries always drain out in this area. There's again and again and again, there's anomalies that happen here, even Bigfoot calls. A buddy of mine was with us one time when we were doing some filming for the UFOiTEAM. And we started hearing this sound like an owl, just hooting, hoot. And then all of a sudden that just turned into this big guttural roar, and that was pretty amazing. But, that night we also captured some other anomalies and, as well. But yes, there are those spots out there,
It's amazing. And I want you to describe to our audience what it's like to be in proximity of a roar that happens in the sky, in the forest, pardon me, not in the sky. They're not roaring in the sky, but in the forest, because I will tell you, I've heard it twice now.
Yeah.
And it is something that absolutely sends chills down your spine.
Yeah, you never, when something like that happens, you're not going to forget it. You never will. It chills you to the bone. You're going to wake up and take notice right now. It just started out just like a whoo, 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 and then it just expanded, and that noise filled the valley, and it was just so intense. You could feel it in your chest all the way through you, you know. There's no mistaking what that is. There's none. You walk away from an experience like that going, you know, there's nothing you can do against something that is that powerful. There's nothing, you have nothing. But that was an amazing experience. Like I said, Craig Yanni was with us, and he's another Bigfooter filming at that time, and that was pretty powerful and pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how here's one thing I've noticed about the roars. You ever notice they don't echo?
I never thought about that.
I have
never have, but
in the two areas where I have, there's echoing. And in the two times in two different areas, I have not heard the echo of the roar. They're like ducks. They don't echo.
You're right. I haven't heard an echo. That time I didn't hear an echo. But it's just all encompassing. The other time I heard it, a roar up at Takalok Lake by Mount Adams. Now that I think about it, now that you've mentioned it, of course, there wasn't an echo.
Yeah, it's a weird instance of how this creature just seems to be able to pull off everything.
Yeah.
Pull off absolutely everything that shouldn't be able to. It seems to have every gift from God that a creature needs, from speed to strength to camouflage to non-echoing roars to everything.
Yeah. Something like that, you don't have a defense for, really,
No.
But we definitely need to know more about the creature. And that's, where I'm going. And that's why I'm, kind of trying to figure out how infrasound affects us, how they're, what they're doing as far as infrasound is affecting us.
I want to ask you, in regards to being in these areas where there are cryptids and there are UFO sightings, do you or have you noticed any patterns of having both creatures or the one creature and the one anomaly in the same area?
Yes, in fact, we Jackie and I were just talking about this. It's funny, your guest for Friday night. There was an incident. We were at Baker Lake again because it's one of our spots. We were up on more towards the mountain, up above Baker Lake, probably at about 3,800, 4,000 feet. And it sounded like something was being dragged on the gravel road down below us, and it was coming up the hill towards us. And it was kind of making this low tone, that we could hear, and then more dragging. And then you could hear it starting to go through the brush, Dave, towards us. I turned on, I always have a speaker with me, Indian flute music is one of the things I like to listen to, sometimes when I'm out in the woods. And then you could hear this twigs snapping, and you could still hear this dragging. It was dragging whatever this was up the hill towards us, slowly, but was coming our direction. This is a time when we had Dave Mason with us. He was down at the lake filming us up on the hill because he could see our location. So he was filming us. And he's, while this was happening, he was filming. So we were getting freaked out. We got to the point, I didn't have a thermal camera at that point because it was years ago, probably 5 years ago or so. And I said, all right, we're out of here. We're done. I can't handle it anymore. I don't know what's coming at us, but whatever it is, it's big. It's dragging something. It's making these low grunting noises. We're out of here. Dave recorded what looked like 3 orange balls of light above my vehicle at the
Wow.
time. While this happened, we didn't see these lights at all. But Dave has it on film. When we got the heck out of there, he said, I've got this film. He showed it to me later, where there's these 3 balls of light above our area. We had the Sasquatch or whatever this was going on, near us, and he caught the footage of the balls of light.
What do you think those orbs were?
I have no idea. I'm not one to prescribe or guess, that there might be UFOs tied to Sasquatch experiences. They could happen in the same area. I just don't have enough data, and I'm not ready to say or jump out on a limb and say there's a connection yet. I need more data myself to make that leap.
You are somebody who uses technology as your skepticism. Okay, so you know what your eyes have seen, but you allow the technology to do the talking and not yourself. Why do you choose to do it that way?
For me, I try to look at everything as an outsider, somebody that doesn't believe in this stuff, and I really try to sit myself in their shoes. What does that person need to believe in something? And that's the type of data that I'm trying to capture, is something that might change somebody's mind because of my background and the things that have happened to me in my past with people not believing in the things that I have seen or even captured on film. So that's where I come from. If I'm going to believe it, then I need tangible evidence. I can't go out on a limb and assume anything.
Okay, so if we put everything in perspective, you're getting orbs, you're getting UFOs, you're getting Sasquatch coming at you, but you can't see it. You can hear it close by. It can't see it. What is your camera picking up?
Well, now that we have a really good thermal camera that I bought about 2 years ago, we haven't seen Bigfoot on the thermal. I've caught, a UFO, or what I would think is a UFO, on the camera triangle. Once I really get out in the field, and there's a couple people that I really like to get out in the field with that camera in their hot spots, and put it to good use, along with my parabolic mic. I have a lot of really good equipment. I just need some people that know more about the Bigfoot stuff than I do. I'm still really kind of fresh to it, since most of my attention has been on UFOs and things of that nature. I need somebody with more experience, and Craig, Yanni, we are planning to do some things together, and hopefully, I'll be getting that tech out into his sweet spots, so to speak.
Speaking of the sweet spots, I don't know about your sweet spots down there, but one of the ones we have up here, okay, we get a little bit of everything. We get paranormal, we get cryptids, we get UFOs, we get orbs going through the trees, we get what look to be fairies flying around. Are your hotspots like that as well? And if so, why do you think, when you're filming there, why do you think there's so much action happening all?
There's areas, I would imagine there are areas in this world, Dave, where the veil is a little thinner. It might be easier to cross from one dimension to another. If you think about volcanoes, there's a lot of magma that's moving around under a volcano in those areas. So maybe it's making the veil a little bit thinner there with all the magma, and you got a different magnetic field possibly in that area, right? So maybe because of those things, those spots are hot spots. um, where this stuff happens. You know, I know Mount Shasta is a huge location for all of this sort of thing that you're talking about happening. And obviously, we continue to capture it at Baker. We continue to capture it at Adams. These locations must be where the veil is thin.
You believe in the veil?
I believe that there's different dimensions, and I believe that, you know, there are quite possibly entities that can, you know, go between.
Let's get back to UFOs here, because I know that's your passion, and that's where you've done the majority of your work. Out of everything that you have filmed in the sky, what are some of the common craft you have seen that are unexplainable?
You know, a lot of these craft, Dave, when you're filming these craft, you're filming with a camera that is at best, you know, filming 30 frames a second, most likely 24 if you're talking about like a Luna Optics camera, frames a second. So those objects, when they're moving, you just get this blurt, 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 blurt. And so everything is extended out. There's been a few times, Dave, when the object has been moving slow enough where you can actually see it's, you know, it's a circle, it's round, a silver orb. You know, I actually caught a silver orb recently up at Baker going down towards a river, just from the sky, just dropping down past the trees, right down over the river. And that thing looked about to be maybe the size of a tire, basically, you know, as round as a tire. And that was a pretty cool capture. But yeah, most of the time, Dave, I would think that they are a round object that has been elongated because of the frames per second in the film.
Okay, let's go to the craft here for a second. I mean, you've seen a black triangle, you've seen, or something that looks like a black triangle. You've seen rods, you've seen orbs in the sky that have done some amazing, you know, 90-degree turns, circles, everything. Does it surprise you what you're seeing in the sky anymore? Or are there certain types of times of the year where you see certain craft?
No times of the year, certain craft. You know, the thing that we've caught a lot of, Dave, is craft that look like they're entering and exiting mountains, which seems preposterous, right? But not like a certain time of the year. You know, typically when we go out there, we don't want to go out in the dead of winter when it's super cold. We like, you know, fair weather, you know, paranormal investigators here. So, but we have been, this year we have gone out a couple times early, but it doesn't seem to matter what time of the year it is. But transmedium, you know, you've heard the word transmedium. Well, what does that mean? It's a craft that goes, you know, in and out of water, that goes through the air. People are being abducted from their homes and pulled through walls, right? That's a transmedium experience, right? So if a craft is going into a mountain, it doesn't necessarily need a door. It goes right into the mountain somehow. And you know, that sort of thing we've captured, you know, a couple times. So how are they doing that? And what time of the year? It doesn't seem to matter.
Really? I mean, okay, so what are you mostly seeing in Washington State?
Well, it seems to me, Dave, that they're interested in these volcanic areas for whatever reason. We kind of discussed, you know, maybe the veil is thinner in these areas. Maybe they can use that to their advantage, you know. In some ways, you know, I don't see a lot in the area other than those locations because that's where I concentrate most of my time. I have seen a craft over Seattle, Washington one time when I was actually leaving a meeting right over downtown. It just looked like it was dropping right down into the city, and I did capture that on my cell phone camera. Um, that was years and years ago, but um, yeah, for us, David, it's really about getting away from the city to do our filming and to do our investigation. I don't particularly like being in areas where there's a lot of people.
No, and
Especially with all
that's just a general, man. You know,
yeah, I mean, especially with all that equipment, I would rather be out in the boonies doing my work.
yeah. Obviously, light pollution is something that really affects any type of UFO sighting at night. You know, so when you're going into these areas, do the UFOs have hotspots?
Where it's most common to, like at Baker or at Adams, to see an object that's either coming out of the mountain or going into the mountain. And then there's times where, at Baker, you've got all these other mountain peaks. There's hundreds of them around there, as you well know, very sharp ones. So there's a mountain called the Pleiades Mountains. And I think it's like 7 peaks, right? And that's why they call it the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, right? Just like the star system. That's a really interesting location. There are some threads I have read on climbers.net or climbers.com where climbers were actually on the Pleiades Mountains and they saw a UFO from that location. There's that section between the US, so you got American border peak and then you got the Canadian peak right on the other side of that. You've got Goat Mountain, you've got Winchester, all those mountains right there around that area seems to be a real hot spot as well. Not just Baker itself, but right there's a cluster of mountains right on the border. And it seems to be hot. And you know what's really interesting? There's gold mines up there as well, right there, where a lot of that activity is seen.
That is very interesting. Because the West Coast has seen a number of UFOs flying in and out of volcanoes, flying in and out of, like you said, mountains. They've been seen over a lot of areas with gold or that have had a lot of gold mines or diamond mines near it, especially the more you go up north here into the wilderness. I mean, we'll talk about this when we come back from the break, but what do you think it is about these natural areas of volcanics and minerals that attracts these craft? Lee, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Our guest tonight, Lee Strauss. We have him until the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio, and we are looking into this weird thing that I don't even know how to put it. Why the heck are the aliens coming for our gold and our lava? What is with that? Spaced Out Radio with Lee Strauss continues right after the break. Stay tuned. The second half of the Mighty SOR starts right after this. All right, man, we're clear. Hi, me,
Okay.
Woykin.
What's
Hi,
that?
Rex. I'm just saying hi to guys in the chat room who just jumped in. Who else is here? Patricia. Nice to see you. All right. And Jackie Harmon's lighting up Facebook tonight. Just lighting it up. Yeah, if it were a pack of cigarettes, she'd be down a pack right now. It's awesome. Having fun, my man?
I'm having a blast. Absolutely. This is my wheelhouse.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely go talk more about the gear as well. I mean, I'm kind of the gear nerd, so. But
you gear nerds. You gear nerds. Yeah, we could get into that. We can get into that.
But yeah, that area up there is crazy. There's a gentleman that might have been on your show years and years ago named Tom Sanger, and he's the one that originally brought me up to that area and gave me my first night vision camera.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and ever since then I've been hooked.
I am not a gearhead, but I love the technology that's coming out. It's really, really impressive. Some of the things that are coming out, especially in the UFO area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the more we can detect the areas, the better, I think. I do have some questions for us as well, by the way.
Yeah. It's you get one video with one camera and people are going to debunk that. But if you've got multiple different cameras filming in multiple different wavelengths of light, it's harder to debunk. And that's one thing that I bring into play, to film an object with multiple cameras, multiple types of cameras.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Very cool stuff, man.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
To answer a question in the chat room, yes, I will be on Martin Willis's show next Tuesday, the 20th. I will be his guest. So the tides are turning, so make sure you tune on in. Hot liquid magma.
Magma.
Oh, yeah. Love magma.
That's just a fun word to say.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. That was synchronistic right there.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll start off with some oh shit. Now what was I going to ask you? I'm back from the break here. I forgot to write it down.
I'm doing everything I can not to swear.
Yeah, me too. What were we going to talk about coming out of the break?
You were talking. We're going to talk about gold and locations up there, and
golden lava. That's right, and magma, hot liquid magma. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's nice. Hot liquid magma. Magmerl. Oh, you gotta save that for next week. Next week when Merle is here. You gotta fire that one off.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about the thoughts about the areas up there until we get back on the radio, but
thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting on something right now that I'll just have to wait until we get back.
Well, you gotta wait 30 seconds. It's a long 30 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick tonight. La 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 la, Bright, Carla, and Susan F for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public. So go shopping on our website today. We're going to be adding more stuff soon. And here we go with the next half hour. Here we go with the second half of the show tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. We continue on till the top of the hour with UFO and cryptid filmer, researcher Lee Strauss from Washington State. And Lee, right before the break, I was asking you a question. What do you think UFOs, or why do you think UFOs have such an attraction to areas of volcanic activity, whether they're active or not, and into mineral areas like where gold and silver are found?
Well, I think there's certain elements that might be very difficult for them to reproduce, or they need certain, alignments of minerals in a certain way for their technology. I also think that energy, the electricity, the Schumann resonance, let's say, of the Earth, is excited in different ways by different metals, and so I think it's that sort of thing maybe that they're interested in, just because it makes it easier for them to go into, or through solid rock, or maybe it's easier for them to have maybe an underground base in some of these areas. I've always heard that there's like this underground base up there at Mount Baker somewhere. There's been rumors of that, but I don't know for sure. Maybe some of these locations are already hollowed out in a way for them because of the thermal and the magma chambers and the just the topography of that location. We don't know, but I think the my research and other people's research into these areas, we might be able to get a better understanding of what may be going on under the ground or in the area, at least where we can film or where we can use some of our devices and capture, some sort of evidence or some sort of data, to so that we can draw some conclusions, that's what we need to be doing. Definitely.
Okay. So with the technology that you are using, why does your technology differ from, say, what the rest of us have? What are you using?
The way I like to look at it, Dave, is I like to I'll go out and I'll search for something like ground penetrating radar, let's say, and I or any other tech for that matter. And how can I use this technology in a way to gain more information about a certain thing that I'm interested in? That's basically what I do. Sometimes I do small tweaks and modifications of some of the equipment so that it's better suited for what I want it for. With some of the trail cameras that I've got, where I put Faraday fabric around the trail camera because the batteries are going dead for whatever reason that doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, there's small tweaks that I've done in the past to certain pieces of equipment where I've taken a normal camera, a Sony A7 III, and I've sent it in and I've had it converted to full spectrum, and there's other things as well. Certain apps do certain things with certain pieces of technology, and it's just figuring out what I can use, and whatever it is for myself to gain more information on what it is I'm looking to do. It's like a treasure hunt almost to me, finding new pieces of tech to bring in to my field that nobody's brought into my field before and used for a specific purpose.
Have you figured out that piece of gear or that piece of technology that gives you an upper hand on trying to find UFOs? And is it affordable to the everyday public?
Yes, there is a piece of equipment that basically can find a needle in a haystack, that I have recently got a hold of. I have not put it into play yet, but I will tell you a little something about this piece of tech. This thing, it's a box, and it basically tells you where in a direction on a screen. It'll tell you and pinpoint where in space there is a magnetic disturbance, basically giving you an arrow in the direction of wherever the magnetic disturbance is.
And what would cause a magnetic disturbance? Meteor or
Well, UFO. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing out there that's going to create a magnetic disturbance. With their propulsion. That's what I would believe, but that piece of tech could help me. All right. Will help me once I get it into our system and out in the field.
Okay, so if you're going out in the field and let's say you're somebody like me who doesn't have any gear whatsoever, what would be your maybe top 3 pieces of equipment that you would recommend to a newbie out there?
Well, it depends, Dave, on what you want to spend, my friend. I mean, wow. If money was no object, I'd go parabolic mic. I would go thermal camera. And I might pick up like a Sony A7 III, which is a phenomenal camera for taking video and photos at night. Just amazing. But being that right now, and I would probably grab you can find some stuff used, right? A Luna Optics camera would be really good. They're not that expensive, couple $100, but Luna Optics, I'll tell you what, for the price, they don't capture audio. That's my only bitch. Excuse my language, but they do capture great nighttime video. Definitely. And at the magnification that you would want too, not like a psionics camera. Great camera, but it's not good for using when you're filming the sky. It's just not.
What is wrong with the psionics?
The psionics is it's basically like it sees what your eye sees, right? In the way that its zoom capability is lacking severely. It has a digital zoom, which means when you zoom in with this camera, it's going to pixelate the object, whatever you're zooming in on, where the psionics is already like at 6x, which is perfect for filming things in the distance, right? The psionics is not good for filming at a distance.
I can see that, but close up though, it's pretty
close
darn
up.
Good.
Yeah, close up in the woods when you're looking for Sasquatch, great camera to have. And I actually love the color palette that it has as well. It's very dynamic,
Okay, so you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on this kind of equipment. I mean, you really have to have a real passion for it all. I mean,
Yeah.
and I know your passion is there, but I mean, do you ever think, man, I'm getting too addicted to spending money on all this gear?
I have been fortunate, Dave. Very fortunate over the last 10 years. And that's why I have the equipment that I do. For a lot of people, it's probably not, a great thing to spend a bunch of money on, but for me, I was lucky enough to be able to afford it.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's going to have that, but I mean, what about just using a pair of binoculars and a camera with a zoom lens?
Well, that's great. Camera with a zoom lens, that's great. I mean, you've got a cell phone, right? You've got great cameras on cell phones now. Absolutely. I've caught stuff on my cell phone. A lot of people do. It's right there. It's always handy. Use it. Use it. Go out to these locations that I'm talking about and film the sky and take pictures, just random pictures of the sky. That's the best way to capture stuff. We do it all the time.
All
And
right,
have good results.
let's get to some audience questions here, okay? Because they are piling up for you here, my friend. And let's start off with Feisty Kitty, who is asking, have you ever been to the ECETI Ranch? If so, what did you think?
ECETI is a great place, guys. It's a really welcoming location down there by Mount Adams. I've been to James's Ranch 3 times, and have caught some really good footage down there. Very good footage, very compelling. I love it. I think everybody should go down there. Just when you go there, be smart and know what you're looking at. Don't necessarily listen to people that say, well, there's no roads up there on the mountain, because that's bull hooky. There are roads up there on the mountain. I've climbed that mountain twice, Mount Adams. I love it.
Well, you're one of them healthy mountain climbers. Make me sick. Just thinking. Deidre is asking, where does infrasound originate from anatomically?
Anatomic. Wow, man, that's a question. I'll tell you what, anatomically, I wouldn't know the answer to that. I'd have to Google it and then back check it in other ways.
What would be your theory?
Well, it's energy, everything is energy. It has to, obviously it would come from a source somewhere. Animals use infrasound. But anatomically, Dave, I don't know. I can't even begin to think, how it would be produced anatomically.
That's all right. We can move on. Lost Souls is asking, what about the Kenneth Arnold incident in Washington State? What do you think of that?
So, yeah, Kenneth Arnold, June 24th, 1947. That was something I was actually going to bring up because it plays into some other stuff that I'm aware of and know about. But that's a great sighting. There was 3 days before then was the Murray Island incident, and that happened on June 21st, 1947, right out in front of a house that I used to own that I inherited from my grandparents. And I think that's why he bought that property, actually, is because of that. But yeah, it's definitely a pivotal point. Even though there was another incident that's less well known, the Murray Island incident, in that, same general Washington area, definitely a massive sighting. And because of who Kenneth Arnold was, it was believable, very believable.
That is very true. Very true. And I think, that's one of the incidents that really kicked off, the flying saucer bit. Never mind UFOs, but flying saucers.
Right. Exactly.
Which is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, let's continue on. Got a couple more questions here for you. And let's go to Ian over in the UK. Lee, is the infrasound audio too high or low for our hearing?
So infrasound is low for our hearing. Ultrasound would be high for our hearing. So yes, we cannot hear anything below like 30 hertz. We can feel things below 30 hertz, but we can't hear them.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that would
Same
be
with,
interesting.
yeah, and on the high end, it's 20,000, right? So we can't really
Yeah.
hear, dogs can hear, can hear above 20,000, but we're kind of blocked off for some reason, just our makeup or whatever.
Have we any technology that can actually, in the UFO field, that can actually pick that up?
Well, like I say, with the parabolic mic, yeah, absolutely. And I do tend to take the parabolic mic and point it skyward as well, not just into the woods or into the forests. So yeah, absolutely we do.
Have you ever had a UFO make sound?
I have not heard. Oh, well, no, that's not true, Dave. I have heard a UFO make sound. It's kind of a. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make the noise here. Okay. sorry. It's a little odd, but whoa, 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 like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cycling, low tone. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I have heard the deep buzzing sound. That almost sounds like electric current.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I've heard. All right, continuing on, let's go to Scan Man. Is your equipment too sensitive? Do you have a handle on your false positive rate?
Too sensitive, some of it is, right? And the only way to do that is to gather more data. I mean, that's to weed out stuff. You have to, have something happen and then have it happen again, right? And the more times it happens, the more that you can weed out the false positives, So one of the things that I did, Dave, was I took my just to get rid of some of the false positives, is I took my my parabolic dish, and actually pointed it at my equipment, the different pieces of equipment I have, just to know if they're making any noise that my parabolic dish could pick up. I also did that with some of my other equipment, some of my like my tri-field meter. I want to know what it's doing, when it's around my other pieces of equipment, so that I can knock out some of that false positive, those false positive readings.
How many times? What's your percentage rate about for false positive reads?
A percentage rate? Oh, Dave. That's a good question, Dave. I would gather it's around 15%. As far as using some of the field equipment I have, not obviously not cameras, right? You can knock that out right away as long as you know what a bird is, and you know what an insect is, and these different things. If you can knock that out of the way, you can pretty much, and not only that, but air traffic, right? So we follow air traffic. We have an app that tracks air traffic. We have an app that also shows what satellites are where. Now, it doesn't pick up all the satellites, because not all of that information is privy to the public. We're not privy to everything, but for the most part, it's pretty good. We also track the stars. I have an app that tracks the stars as well, and we can deploy all of that stuff as long as I have a cell signal, or I have Starlink now, so we can use that in the field as well, just so that I have a signal, and then I can use my tablets and my apps to narrow things down. So, but there are still false positives. Yes, about 15%.
We've got about 3.5 minutes to go here. We got another question here for you. This will be the final one from our audience. This is from Tim. Lee, what is the best affordable option for night vision?
let me see what the best affordable. I've got something. I would try to get a used piece of night vision, like a Psionics or a Luna Optics. You can also go on Amazon and look up, I think it's like ELSSNB is a Chinese night vision camera that seems to work pretty well. For $100 or sub $100 night vision camera.
What about phone apps? Do you rely on phone apps like Flight Radar or anything like that? For
Yes,
anomalies in the sky?
We do, like I was saying, but I put them on separate tablets. If you've seen the pictures of the back of my truck where I've got all these monitors and all of that stuff. Yeah, I've got them on separate tablets so that I can quickly look at things. Obviously, so much of the time, though, when we're capturing UFOs or whatever, we might not even see it until we review the footage. But if something is stagnant long enough for us, we can definitely get a read on what that object might be by looking at those screens.
Okay, so what about military aircraft who have the ability to turn their tracking system off?
I don't know that that's the case with usually military craft. So you have civilian aircraft and their lights blink, their marker lights blink at a certain rate. Military too, it's different than civilian, right? So their marker lights are blinking at a different rate. We pretty much know what could be a military versus what could be a civilian craft. But never had an issue, with a piece of or an aircraft turning off its transponder. Obviously your piece of your tablet with your flight radar is not going to track that, but you would know that that's what it is. I would imagine just because of the marker lights and the rate that they're blinking.
Out of all the UFOs you have seen over the years, have you ever captured military aircraft flying towards them or after them?
No, I haven't. I've heard plenty of stories, Dave, but I have never seen military craft going after anything in the sky that I've filmed, or near where I've filmed. Well, that's not true. I've seen military craft at Mount Adams, but jets and so forth, but they're just doing their maneuvers and whatnot, but never.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
30 seconds left, Lee. I want to say thank you for finally coming on Spaced Out Radio. This was a lot of fun, my man. It really was. Tell our audience where they could find your videos and information.
So you got Andrew and Lee on the Trail on Facebook and on YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel called Not of This Earth. And that one right there has a lot of just my short little videos of UFOs. But Facebook, YouTube is where you're going to find that stuff, guys. And I thank you very much for tuning in tonight.
All right, Lee, thank you very much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Then after that, Travis Willier-Moostus joins us for the Cryptid Report. It's going to be a fun final hour on Spaced Out Radio. Join us, will you? Because we will be right back. Great show, my man. Great show.
Thank you.
That was a lot of fun. Hope you had fun.
I did. I had a blast.
Awesome.
I definitely did.
Awesome. Well, you stay in touch, my friend.
Yeah. Anytime you need me and my tech up there in Canada, let me know.
We'll wait till it warms up for you. See, we have 2 seasons here. We have winter season, and then we have mosquito season.
Yeah. I get it.
So anytime after May, you guys want to come on up and we'll take you to a couple of hot spots here.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Good deal.
All right, brother.
All
You
right.
take care, okay?
You too.
See you, my man.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'll be right back. Enjoy. Give me 2 seconds. All right. We will get ready for the next little bit here. Who's coming to Reno? Got word that Bigfoot investigator and ET experiencer Carter Bouchard is booking his tickets to join, our list of celebrities at the third annual SOR fan party at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort in Reno, May 10th through 12th. We want you all there. Tickets are $100 for VIP, $60 for regular. VIP gets you a swag bag, as well as tickets to the fan party, the VIP party on the Friday night. You want to come? You definitely want to be there. We're all going to be there, the SOR team. We want you there as well. So make sure you come and join us. info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. And we want to see you all there. So sign up today. Thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick, Major Lee, Lala, and Carla, and Susan F. for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support that you guys give us. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. No ugly swag there, everyone. You can actually wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. So make sure you check it on out. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Hamulate. Hamulate is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing in another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. On June 12, 1985, Jewel Kaler drove his 41-year-old wife, Dottie Kaler, to a train station in Pleasant Hill, California. After arriving at the station, Dottie purchased a train ticket, a simple task that millions of people do every day. However, for Dottie, it was a test of her courage. Dottie suffered from agoraphobia, an overwhelming fear of being in public places. It is unclear whether or not Dottie boarded the train, as she has not been seen or heard from since that day. Initially, Dottie's friends assumed she had left her unhappy marriage behind to start a new life in another city. However, as time passed without any news from Dottie, her sister, Diane Rusnak, began to suspect Jewel for her sister's disappearance. I think that Dottie could have disappeared to get even with her husband, who had disappeared on her for half of their married life, Diane said. Dottie married Jewel Kaler in 1973. According to Jewel, as she grew older, her home in Concord became a self-imposed prison. Jewel said, quote, Dottie would stay inside most of the time. She wouldn't even apply for a job, much less hold one down. It was a real problem, end quote. Dottie and Jewel's marriage gradually worsened over time. Due to Jewel's work, he was often away from home, and Dottie was often left alone. However, things took a violent turn on Thanksgiving Day in 1981 when their relationship reached a boiling point. Dottie's friend, Paula Powers, recalled the first time Dottie and Jewel had a physical altercation. Quote, she told me that they got in an argument. It escalated to the point where he finally hit her with a board or something, end quote, Paula said. According to Jewel, it was Dottie who initiated the fight. In 1984, Dottie joined a Women in Transition support group and attended meetings for over a year. Jewel was unaware that Dottie had joined this group. Dottie's friend, Shelley Wilson, noticed an instantaneous change in her friend. Shelley said, quote, as time went on, I would notice she was adding a little more color to her outfits. She cut her hair in a new style, which was a very scary thing for her. It was as if a new Dottie were emerging. Dottie took some secretive actions without Jewel's knowledge. She rented a post office box to receive her mail secretly. She also opened a personal bank account and transferred $5,000 into a cashier's check. Jewel was shocked to learn about his wife's deceitful behavior. Jewel said, quote, "She had secret lives, a secret existence that I knew nothing about, and she wanted it that way. I wasn't even aware of it. I was just suspicious," end quote. 1 month prior to Dottie's disappearance, Jewel notified her that he had accepted a job transfer to Salt Lake City. Dottie told him she was not interested in going with him. Jewel said, quote, "Dottie had said, in the event that I got transferred, she was not interested in going with me. So I wasn't expecting her to go with me. I wouldn't even have wanted her to, I guess," end quote. On Wednesday, June 12, 1985, Dottie set off on a trip to visit a friend just a few days before Jewel was scheduled to leave for Salt Lake City. Jewel drove Dottie to the train station and was confident that Dottie had her purse and overnight bag with her as she walked in. However, it's unclear whether Dottie boarded the train or not. Jewel said, quote, "I dropped her off and she walked around the corner of the station and disappeared," end quote. The following day, Jewel took the train back home from work. He was surprised to find Dottie's blue 1963 Volkswagen Beetle beside his car in the train station parking lot. "I walked over and looked inside, and there I noticed her purse, and that was very, very strange," Jewel said. Dottie's driver's license, $30, and library card were inside the vehicle. Shelley Wilson also found it odd that Dottie left her purse behind. She told me how important it was to her to have her purse with her all the time. "That's one of the things that made me feel so terribly upset when I realized she had not taken her purse with her," Shelley said. Jill left notes on Dottie's car for the next 4 days, asking her to contact him. He expressed his love for her in the notes and pleaded with Dottie to come home. Jewel waited for 5 more days before filing a missing persons report. Now, it is unknown whether Dottie Kaler left to escape her troubled marriage or was the target of a crime. According to Detective Donald Mage of the Concord Police Department, if the case turned out to be more than a simple disappearance, Jewel and anyone close to Dottie at that time would be considered suspects. Dottie Dorothy Kaler is described as a Caucasian female with brown hair and blue eyes, standing 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighing 140 pounds. She has a scar above her left eye and wears plastic-framed glasses. Anyone with any information regarding Dottie's disappearance or whereabouts is asked to contact the Concord, California Police Department at 925-671-5074 and reference case number 8512575.
And thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another great story just like that. If you want more, head on over to his YouTube channel and hit subscribe. That's youtube.com/Among the Missing. From the missing to the mysterious, it's time for Travis William Moostus and the Cryptid Report. Man, the myth, and the monster legend, Travis William Moostus, with us again, my friend. Good to see you again. How you been doing?
Been doing really good, actually. Just been exploring a lot of art and finishing off my book and hopefully to release that this week. So been very busy, and I got back from vacation. So like I said, I've been just back at work doing all these things and getting it all done, doing a lot of readings and things.
Excellent. You've been doing a lot of monster hunting along the way. And, for people who don't know, you are a professional monster hunter. It's one of those things that, a lot of people don't think that job really exists. What actually does it entail being a full-time monster hunter?
Most times it's like just checking out these interesting things, like and hearing out people's stories and their encounters, and then looking into it and just checking it out. And it's throughout time, like it's not like it's just happening like all the time, but like throughout my years, like I've been called upon some of these things, and a lot of times were paranormal, and most times are spiritual too, and then other times are like pretty interesting and mysterious in themselves, like just for what we found. And things from dead animals to just things like where people had the encounters and just found like crop circles and things like that, where they were just like said they felt energy, and it was very interesting to them where they found them, because they were just like in a field where nobody quadded to. They actually were exploring and hunting in the area.
Talk to us about we're getting that feedback. Sorry. Talk to us about crop circles in regards to what they're like. What's it like to be around one, in one? What's the energy like? What's the feeling?
Okay, so all right. So one time we were doing an offering ceremony. So we're feeding our family, and we're asking for blessings and doing kind of things for the Star Nations, just kind of like, for a good year, and just for the love of the family out there and kind of things like that. And all of a sudden we did a good, like, it was like during the day, and it was a good ceremony and everybody was there. And then the next day, pretty much like right in the front yard was just like an engraved, like a crop circle, but it was like very designed out, and like there'd be no ways that like a lawnmower blade would leave that or anything like that. Plus the grass wasn't cut. So we're pretty sure that, that was a sign from the Star Nation, and it was a very unique feeling. It's actually stayed there for a little while. Like it actually like tinted the grass a little bit. Like it was like lightly like singed on the ends of the grass. Like this is like beautiful, luscious grass that's not, not dead or anything. Like it's a beautiful lawn, right? So but yeah, like when you do find them though, you do feel like an interesting energy to them, and you do know it's like there's like it was from the stars or something, was energy was used from the stars to make it.
Do you think that that there is something going on with these patterns? Do you think that there is some sort of message within them?
Oh yes, symbolically the way it was flowing, it looked like a universal pattern, and it just like it was like a kind of a connection from that, like it was like a universal connection. But yeah, I've seen some very interesting pictures of them over time, and because like it intrigued me, right? So of course in the UFO field you see a lot of them too, and yeah, like I swear some of them are like beautiful symbolic imagery of their galactic systems, and other messages were, specifically for us to receive. And, they've been really cool. Some of them are, like made by, I should say they're made by orbs and that kind of star energy that come down from the sky and formulate with I should just say with the energy of the earth and all of that, all the elemental spirits. And yeah, it's just like it's able to create itself and yeah, take form, I guess, and make that make that imagery, and it's beautiful connection. That's usually the symbol is.
Let me ask you, have you ever seen a UFO create a crop circle?
Not seen, but we've like I said, just experienced the circles, all the designs, I should say, themselves, which is like it's something else. Like my brother took pictures, but I don't know if he still has them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Explain that, right?
So it was like it was just like any other time. Well, it was like I said, it was like a full moon time, like time of the full moon and stuff like that, and it was like during like mid fall, and then not mid fall, it was like midsummer, just about August there, again going into fall, but it was still like nice luscious grass and still beautiful time, and yeah, we're able to the next day able to see that beautiful design left behind. It was just kind of like kind of the right time and place for it in the universe. Is like usually the way these things go is that kind of on that track of the rail of the universe, even for like people out there, hunting these things and seeing them. It's kind of like when it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. Your connection is deep within, and you're really kind of tuning into that frequency, and it's kind of connecting back with you, and it's it's there, and it's meant to connect. Sometimes like even when I was in the mountains, just that natural connection zone will just throw you in unknowingly, and that's why you just get that good feeling when you're out in the mountains, even just driving through them, or just taking pictures of them and things. Like there's a different energy, and it's just that it's a connection to the universe, and it's the beginning of time, and it's seeing everything that has happened, and still and still witnessing everything that's going on. And so like that connection is like you're opening up to all those energies and all those spirits when you're entering in these zones, especially like the mountains, and people are witnessing these energy beings or these orbs or crafts like entering mountains, or you're seeing Sasquatch running around and things. It's because these energy zones are places where these beings can like I should say become into the physical form. Like they can actually take like existence there. So
I got a sensitive question for you regarding this, because I know there are certain creatures that you do not like having conversations about for spiritual reasons. But one of those creatures that starts with a W is said to frequent around crop circles. And it also leads to many cattle mutilations around crop circles. Do you have any information on this?
usually like when things like that happen, it's a dimensional being or a dimensional frequency, a dark frequency that comes through. Sometimes they're insectoid beings, like they look like almost like bugs, and they come to feed on the cows and stuff. And there's also reports out here, like in my area, where people have seen them like they said they're over the area, and they're picking up moose and whatever. Like they're like actually like taking livestock from the forest and stuff. So like a lot of times it could be many different kind of beings that are just like trying out earth animals and or feasting on them if they want to eat them. And then but like with the evil one, it's like they'll eat anything and everything they can, until like even themselves, if they can't get anything to eat, or they're the ones around them and everything, until and it's like it's a terrible beast, like, until it becomes more than it can be, we can't defeat it anymore, and it's like it's a very atrocious monster that, would totally decimate a whole tribe if it got a chance to, like, but like the worst case scenario did happen thousands of years, well, not thousands, like hundreds of years ago. And that's like where the tribes have to kind of team up together, try to take it down, but they couldn't, and it managed to fly away. Like it actually grew wings and flew away. And they're just kind of like so worried that it would come back, right? So there's always that kind of thing. And the cautionary tale of it, right, is the spirits of that evil one, or they still lurk, right? And it's like it's important to keep our ourselves like aligned with the universe in the light of that, and keeping ourselves grounded and with the good energies of this earth and the universe, and things should be all right. Usually we out here we have had places built and things that are deep within the woods that are still hidden to this day, and that are there as protections over the land from those kind of dimensional kind of creatures from lurking around and taking over forms of people and things. So that's how come like they've kind of taken like people don't really see them anymore or hear them, because like we've managed to defeat a lot of the man buffalo eater spirits and a lot of those wendigos and like what people just call that, right? And like I said, now I said it, and I'm gonna have to do a little smudge later and kind of take care of that, right? And but like and the other word, right, the traditional word for it, right, which I won't say right now like at all. So so like it is a thing that like people have had to deal with, like in my area. My grandfather, my great grandfather had to deal with it, along with a few other medicine men, notable people that have carried it on. And like I should say, the procedures and protection throughout the years, because there were like a lot of times like out here where when we're first developing the area and stuff, it was like a lot of that going on, because it was like we were used to living in a different area, and then when the treaties were made, we're positioned in a different place, and so like coming out here, there was a lot of different things to deal with, and especially around the lake that we're positioned around, so we had to deal with a lot of that coming down and around, especially some of the forest folks and different kind of things like like even the shapeshifters and different kind of creatures like Kenneth Arnold and like I said, lizard people and snake people and all sorts of like, deer, like antler people and and like, just kind of things like that, like over like the people like have experienced goat man and goat woman and been followed home by these creatures still, like within like the recent times too, like they've been hearing the footsteps on the highway, like chasing after them and stuff, and like, well, I mean the hoofs, I should say, on the highway chasing after them, and someone just calling out, "Come back!" and yeah, just different things, and there's been a few interesting stuff.
Yeah, I can totally see that, and I don't want to ask you too much more about that, because I do know the understanding that you the feelings you have about that certain creature. But have you, or when that creature is around, is there a lot more cattle mutilations that happen around that point, or other animal mutilations that you've had to deal with?
Well, the stories would go, they just find like areas like buffalo just slaughtered and like just ripped apart, and like they'd find like other like remains, like tribes just slaughtered, and everything, like just like the teepees and everything ripped apart, and teepees used as fire and to burn the people, well, to roast the people and different things. And yeah, like there's been a few like stuff like that, and then like from like in recent times, like I said, we mysteriously found that horse that just had its neck was broken, and we're just like, what? And it was alone, like it was out there, like we're kind of keeping it away from the other horses, because like it was like always fighting them and kicking them and stuff. So like it was just odd that it was like because it was like an aggressive horse, so like it would just have its neck just broken, like snapped, and it was just found dead. Like, and we're just like, whoa. And so like things are were to be looked around, and we're checking things out that time and stuff. And my uncle was alive at the time, so he was like kind of on that in that moment, right? So, but like nowadays, like when I have to do things or get called for, it's usually pertaining to like helping out with like things in the households, or like or I have to go check out things like that are happening around the area. I haven't really found too many like I said, for a while now. It's been a couple of years, but like that was like probably like 3 years ago when we found the horse.
Oh wow.
My bad, I dropped it.
That's okay. That's okay. It's one of those scary times where we really don't know what we're dealing with, and the powers of these entities that they have when they are around humans or wild or even domesticated animals. They don't care. They're just looking for a meal, and an easy meal is usually one that's domesticated rather than wild, and unfortunately that seems to happen. We're going to continue right after the break here. The Cryptid Report from the Cree Nation in Alberta, Canada. We have Travis William Moostus. We love this guy around here. He's always on par with telling a good monster story. And that's what we deliver next on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. The Cryptid Report continues right after this. Right on, my man. Right on.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for having me back. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, all right, we're going tonight. I thought I was gonna go on Sunday, and then I never received any link or any notification. So I was like, all right. And then today just kind of rolled around. Like I said, I was busy doing a bunch of art and kind of rolling with time and flowing with that. And kind of like I said, I was just more than happy to hear it, and just like, woohoo, let's go. And like I said, I always enjoy the conversations.
Yeah, I always enjoy our conversations too, man. That's why I love bringing you on. It just makes it so much fun.
Yeah, is there anything you would like me to? I guess you'll just ask me when we're there, but yeah, I've just been working hard on this book, and I hope to get it released out here soon. So for everyone's enjoyment out there, and that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I can't wait. Can't wait. So where'd you go on vacation?
Oh, I went to Jasper, Banff. I took the gondola ride up the mountain and went chilled out they have a little nice resort restaurant up there. So I went chilled out around eating up there, and I was with my older sister and my nephew there, and it was her birthday. So we're out enjoying the sight of it all and taking it all in, and it was awesome. And what else? Yeah, like we did a bunch of things. I even went, it was like skydiving, like simulation kind of thing. It was pretty cool. So got all dressed, and it was like, getting floated by air, and yeah, so it was fun.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Was that in one of those skydiving tubes that they like wind tubes?
Yeah. Like a wind tunnel. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. It was fun. It was cool.
Excuse me. Oh. Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, this year I plan to get out in more of the woods again and start to do more videos out there for everyone, and kind of open that up and show you guys some of the terrain and woods that I deal with, and creatures and things like that.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I'm sore tonight. I'm very sore. We got about a minute and a half here, bud.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, YouTubey. Dizzy F and Reed, how you doing? Audacious Amber, welcome to SOR chat. Oh, I'd love a massage chair, Tim. Vanessa, how are you? I will get to your questions coming up here, guys. Wait until we're back on the air. Yeah, we'll get that question for you. Don't worry, we just got to wait till we're back on the air here in a couple minutes. All right, Fast Hemi, how you doing? Edmonton. What's about Edmonton? Where is Alberta? It's beside British Columbia and beside Saskatchewan. It's the second most western province in Canada. All right, everyone, here we go. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Okay, we continue on with the Cryptid Report. Travis William Moostus from the Cree Nation up north of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Good to have you here, my man. We're going to start off with a couple of questions from our audience. Start off with Audacious Amber. New to our chat room, welcome. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell, Amber. What do your people believe the origin of Dogman is?
All right. Yeah, there was a lot of ancient animal kingdoms and tribes that existed years ago, and Dogman is also like a kind of spirit of that. And there's a lot of people too that actually that have this inherent ability to connect with that. And sometimes people go and they could become Dogman, and they'll go back and live in the wild. And there's some people that just they can choose to turn into these different kind of animals, like coyotes and wolves, and towards like the end of their days, they'll just choose to live as a wolf or an animal themselves and just kind of disappear, or it's like kind of like one of those kind of tales. But for Dogman though, like a lot of the reports that people have seen out there and stuff, like when they've had bad encounters, like with some of the darker ones, like darker spirits and beings, and they've come out from the forest and scratched around or come and looking at sniffing around the house and stuff, trying to see what they can get, and taking animals or different things like that. And but yeah, it is a thing. It is definitely a thing.
So you believe that the Dogman is a former people that have chosen to live in the wild?
Sometimes some of the tales have said that some people have chose to go back and live as some of these animals and beings, and connected with that in that sense. As for like the Dogman spirit, there are ones that are just from a different dimension that are very hostile and that are darker spirits or darker entities, darker beings, and that are malicious towards pretty much any kind of living being, kind of creature out there. And it's processed to intake, but there's different forms of these walkers, and it could be a number of things, like I said, like from these skinwalkers to shapeshifters to the Dogman, right? Like it's to differentiate them, I just figure I'd bring up a few other ways to see it, and from our perspective, that's what we've considered it most of the times. Like when it's somebody's occurrence or reoccurring thing, and or say somebody was known for that kind of connection, and they've chosen to go back to that, and that's kind of like one of those things. But like I said, the one guy was known for turning into a coyote around here, and he was able to run up and down the railroad tracks and around the area, and he's always known for just walking around everywhere, and very mystical dude and sense, very connected to the earth, and but yeah, he was just a kind of a guy who lived amongst himself alone in the woods. And
I'm laughing here quietly because for our radio audience, Travis has a brand new kitten, and that kitten is just, I'm watching the kitten on video behind Travis actually create a little bit of havoc for itself, playing with the toys. So if you hear the background noise, that's just Travis's new kitten getting his little 2 minutes of fame here on the show, and I love it. I love it when unpredictability like that happens on our show here. All right, another question here from Dizzy, who is asking, could the Wendigo be a result of generations of prior or prion syndrome, or is it primarily a spiritual issue? Love you, Travis.
It is a dark force entity that enters in through a darker spiritual realm, and when it goes through and it takes somebody's form, usually when they're like in a sense of darkened madness or like lower vibrational frequencies, and it enters in and it usually starts to make them hallucinate and start to kind of like they get an unsensitive it's like it can't stop being hungry. It's like a sensation for just like they need a feed, and it's like they end up like, how should I say it, it's like they start to kind of go mad and lose their mind, and they start to eat everything around them until there's nothing left. And once they do that, then it's kind of like, fair game. They start to devour people and things around them, and this creature and being is like totally in control of these people, and they think like they're like they know they're lost, and it's pretty much just it's already in control, and there's nothing they can do. And there was like the case there with the guy was found in Alberta, and he ate his family, and but he was trying to run, and they caught him just on the border of BC mountains, and they actually hung him. They actually hung him for that case, because he was like the Mounties ended up catching him and hanging him. But there's certain things that people have done when they've caught it just before it could escalate even worse, right? Like that's just in history in itself. But there's like other things like I said, when people are like, and he knew it himself too. He wanted, like that guy, he was saying it in jail and everything. He's like, he got to kill me and whatever. Like he was going wild, like, but yeah, like, so what I'm saying is like, these creatures, it's like a spiritual dark attachment that ends up like causing insanity and madness and a huge psychosis that ends up creating this unsafe, like, they can't stop being hungry. So it's like, they start to eat themselves and they become a ghastly monster themselves. Yeah. That's eat the lips and expose their skull and everything.
Well, nice. Real romantic.
Yeah, there you go. How about that for Valentine's Day?
All right, let's move on here. Dino wants to know, are Bigfoot's feet really big, or is the whole damn thing big?
They are like big, huge beings, like massive. Like whenever their tracks are found, they're met, like people are like, yeah, this is a tall, huge being, like person, man, or running around. And it's not like a human foot. Like you could tell it's like another, like a large, people were able to put their track in, like their foot size in there and be just totally giant sized by it. Like, like it didn't come near close to like being, a human print or anything. And the person that was like seeing that, they took it right to their deathbed with them. They never wanted to talk about it. They never wanted to bring it up. They never wanted to, but the person, like the young woman at the time that seen it and had her foot like seen their mom and dad and they're checking it out and stuff, and seen all the people, whatever, and the juice our town checking it out near the lake. It was like like she remembers it to this day, and that's who was telling me a lot about that, like, and just remembering the massive size and then like talking about like Bigfoot in general, like when I was hearing them in the woods, they were just snapping massive trees. Like these were giant poplar, like huge trees, like were going down, like, and you just hear like 4 distinct snaps and trees just like, rustling down, and so like they're big, like they're and but they do have like other, like I said, there's they do have like young ones, and they do grow up, and they're, those ones are curious and they run around and young adolescent, and they do have like young children, and like they do have like young like that. So it's you can see them at various stages out there in the woods, and you wouldn't yeah, it's interesting. But usually they come around, and it's like the time of like the energy is like opening up, and there's like a lot of like natural presence going on, like through the energy of the elementals and like the sun and the time of the universe and that connection to that, right? So, but yeah, that's if you see one and you come across one, they do smell guns. They do smell like all these like real interesting like distinct smells that on you. Like they could smell your scent if you're scared. Like you start to sweat. They can sense that. They can sense all the things, like your motives. Even if you're angry at them, you're going to attack. They know that. The encounters that my friend was telling me, he said he was squatting and then he just heard it like the grunting from not even making the grunt. It was just breathing, but it was like a like coming out of its nose. Like and he got freaked out. He started backing up with his gun. He told me, and he said he just went pale white, and then he got on his quad and drove away, right? But it smelled that they were hunting, like looking for animals or whatever. But it did that, so like this isn't a native guy, right? So like they do know when you're out there or what your intentions are. They do see you when you're out there or you enter in their forest. They have this giant connection through all the trees and like it's like a telepathic connection through all that frequency, I should say, because everything, all the plants get frequency and everything, right? So
all right, let's go back to Amber here, who is asking, how do you protect yourself from dogmen?
Dogman. Yeah, there's a few ways. It's a means of like, you could use weapons and like have those, like if it's a physical one that's like attacking, and if you have your weapons and they're spiritually aligned and things like that, and they're blessed and they're from that kind of realm, then yeah, you can defend yourself. Other than that, it would be like if you're carrying like a natural, like your form of protections and things like that could help, in that sense. But mainly it's like you got to use like a lot of different kind of like spiritually blessed weapons, or if they're aligned to fight that, or if you're meant to go after that kind of thing. As for like building spiritual barriers is the other way, and that's like where you can make these like they're almost like altars, and there's different ones, all sorts of kinds that are built for different kind of beings and creatures in that sense. So yeah.
Excellent. Okay. A little bit of feedback there. All right. Dizzy wants to know, do people who become the W creature stop being human? Like literally non-human?
When it first starts to enter into them, that's when it starts to break them down. They're talking to themselves. They're talking to other things out there, like this other creature is telling them, like they're arguing, like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that, because like it's telling them like you got to eat them, like like it's going wild, like it's telling them things like that, right? And so these people end up like breaking down, because like usually it was like a starving time, or people are starving, or like usually winter months and things like that, it would come around. And that guy, unfortunately, that was the case. That guy who was found by the Mounties, their family was undergoing a very huge poverty, and were starving, and he ended up unfortunately breaking down on that creature and letting it in, and took over. And that's when they cease to be humans, like when they start to kind of they're like in that mode, but they can they'll say things like, they'll be able to speak through and be like, hey, like that guy was like, when he was taken, he's like, you gotta take care of me, like I can't turn into this creature. He was like, like he was freaking out, like he knew he was turning into something else. And that was like kind of like they caught him at the right time, like before he became the creature and was started mutilating himself and everything around him, and that's like where it becomes kind of like a different kind of being. It starts to evolve in different kind of ways, and it's a very dark energy and magic that comes through, like a dimension that ends up like elongating its bones and different kind of structures, and it starts to like create it like it becomes like a monster. It becomes like a little like a towering creature, and it can be as tall as like a 13-foot tall teepee, and just not like, that's what I mean, like it could just decimate a whole tribe. And that's when it becomes like almost unstoppable. And and that's like the worst case scenario.
All right, let's continue on here. Blake would like to know, how do these cryptids procreate?
Bigfoots are like they're like the Bigfoot like beings are pretty humanoid, so it's like on that kind of level. Just like every animal and species on this earth has a means of procreation, and it's very unique amongst all the species in the universe. And so like as for like it's when we see the Bigfoots and they're young or whatever, it's like I said, it's just seeing them. We don't know how or what they're like. We just see the little ones running around with them or running around or hear them being spotted or you can hear the voices out there, and it's kind of like that, when I mean by the voices out there is you can hear like different pitches of tones and especially when it comes to an older Bigfoot, or if they're knocking trees, you can usually tell by like the size of them or what they're throwing or different kind of things like that.
All right, let's continue on. We got about 4.5 minutes. Dizzy would like to know, how does one become a hungry ghost? Do you know of the non-human shapeshifters that hunt humans also? How can we recognize them?
All right. Yeah, the dark ones usually they're very malicious, or they're very how should I say, they're very dark or aligned. So they'll cause a lot of disruption or maybe even harm to people that are living in those situations or encountering those situations. But as for it was saying something about how do you become a hungry ghost, and that's just like a thing like on the other side is usually when you travel over, that's one thing you notice is the temperature and the hungriness and different kind of things. So in native world, we honor the spirits with food and different offerings like tobacco, so they can travel in that world and make those offerings to do those kind of I should say, to make those so they're hungry out there, and that they're because they're watching over us kind of deal, right? So it's that connection to that other world, and especially with especially when I talk about the travel, when people cross over, that's one thing is there's a few things that happen in our belief that, especially when it comes to when you meet the elders that come to meet you or help you, guide you on the other side, is you would need that tobacco offering for them to honor them and to help them, for them to help you navigate that area. And so it's there's all these different things. And as for the other one, there was saying how can we recognize the dark beings from the light beings? The light beings usually, like I said, they're there. They come through times of high frequency when you're connected to the universe, and they usually are very high frequency. So you'll see a lot of light, or you'll see a lighter tone to these beings. You won't feel a sense of danger. They're very open to when you communicate to them, they won't be trying to communicate to you, and instead they'll make their presence known, and then you're pretty much you're figuring that out, right? And as for when you're in it's different for when you're in ceremonies and these beings come through. It's lights and orbs, and they're very telepathic, and like I said, they'll let you know, and it's kind of a thing you're open to communication. As far as dark spirits and dark entities, they just they start to they try to affect your frequency and distort your energy and freak you out and try to manipulate you and into different kind of things. So it's especially when people are doing really good, our frequencies are all high, they'll try to come around, and all of a sudden people are just upset or things for no reason, and it's some sort of dark attachment that has gotten people down or for no reason. That's usually something a lot of cases are. So I'm just saying just always connect with the universe and ground yourself and cleanse your frequency fields, and crystals help with that, and different sages and smudges and chimes and frequency tones, and that all works and all helps. So that's just another way of keeping yourself clean and safe from any of those negative beings. And as for like guardians and stuff that are always watching over us, they're always there in the universe and always around us, connected to us through that and throughout the earth. And yeah, that's what I was just going to say about it. If there's anything else, Dave.
Yeah, Travis, and we got about a minute to go here, and what a wonderful night it was. And it was nice to get some audience questions into you, because so many people have questions about these cryptid creatures, and there's no one better than you to answer those questions, as you deal with these creatures on a daily basis, weekly basis, and a monthly basis, sometimes further out than that. Do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find more information on you.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I do excellent card readings. It's called Blue Lightning Cards. I also have a Travis Actor Painter page, Travis Willier Actor Painter page on Facebook. You can reach to me out there or on Facebook itself. Other than that, I've been just I've been releasing books online, and you can find that on Amazon. Fort Sunder, and another book is called The Palladian Who Stole Me in My Heart. You have to look under books to find that one, because it is an ebook. So enjoy that, and I'm going to be releasing one here in the next week or next little while here, a couple days. So be ready for that.
Awesome. Travis Williams, thank you for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. We'll talk to you next week as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in, at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. There we go.
Well, that was fun, Dave. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me out. It's always excellent times. Excellent times.
That was a good time, man. Was a good time. Lots of fun there. Lots of fun. All right, now we get to
Have a good night, and I'll see you around, bud.
see you later, buddy. You take care. Have a good night, okay? Travis Villiers Mostus. He's a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun. I like him a lot. All right. Yes. Let's go like that. Close that out. Inbox that. Bear with me here. right. I'm going to call this one Hi, Ruth Kleber. I'm going to call this one a little bit early. Tomorrow night on the show, Science Bob and Friends. Dr. Bob McGuire comes back to hang on out with us. And the rest of you, thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick. Thank you to Susan F., Carla, Lala, and Major Lee for the super chats. And also, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, everybody. Have a good one.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.